All right, folks, we're live, back again. This is your host of Lit Literature, JP, aka The Demon, and we are here now, not with the captain again. No and captain. Also short 2 men. We are down 2. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because we are probably going to talk about all of the punishment and bet breaths that we will deal out to them, especially as I was editing the last episode. I'm pretty sure Manny got almost every single one of them out. So,
which sucks because I think I bet with him a lot.
Cool. Yeah. Surprisingly, I remember some pretty funny long shots that I lobbed that ended up being totally okay. And also some long shots that I lobbed, which definitely stabbed me in the leg. It wasn't that one though. But anyway, so we're here with a smaller crew.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, we're here with a smaller crew. So we'll go around in circle.
We got Ben the Hitman here.
Brett the Director.
Josh the Cherry. All right. And
that was quick.
Yeah, all right. A smaller group. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like this book just accelerated like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Second half. The second half was really fast.
Yeah.
It was like Splash Mountain. It's just like kind of chilling.
That's cool.
How do you do? And then all of a sudden it's just like.
Wow. Now I see why you recommended chapter 32. So our last 2 episodes, actually the episode we're releasing now.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
Thank you. Is our part 2, takes us through episode 32. This is part 3 and potentially 4. I'm sure it will be 3 and 4. But that 1 and 2 through chapters 32 was excellent because it just everything kind of came to fruition. We would have had too much to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the first parts, we spent almost the entire first episode talking about culture.
Yeah.
Just like the basis of their world.
Mm-hmm.
You said that. I was like, what are you talking about? This is not Stormbreaker.
Yeah. What? Warbreaker?
Warbreaker.
What did I say?
No. You said culture when she was one of the goddesses.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
We talked about her. We didn't talk about her.
Got it. Yeah. Also, we at the very end of the last one, we took a bet on who the Warbreaker was, which was revealed at the end. Yeah, and
we
also
didn't do one on who the Warbreaker.
You didn't record it because I recorded it. I mean, I just edited it. We did.
I don't even remember talking about that.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's pretty wild. We'll get to it towards the end because obviously it was revealed literally
in the epilogue.
Yeah. So, first off, oh God, I don't even know where to start for this. Like,
well, let's start off. I mean, this revelation kind of came pretty quickly. Let's talk about maybe the mercenaries.
Yeah, mercenaries.
Yeah. This revelation happened relatively early in the second half.
I think it was like the next chapter.
Yeah. Refresh my memory. Chapter 32 ended with us talking to Hoyt, right?
No, it ended
one before.
It was close to that.
It was either that one or it ended after Suri got attacked in the.
That's right. She got attacked. So what? The next
streets.
one was when we went.
Vivenna.
When was the War Council? That was in this section, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the War Council, when Vivenna basically convinces Vasher to help. Okay, got it. I've got my timeline down. So we started with Denth then.
Yeah.
Attacked in the street. Then we went to coming back because no, she was kidnapped by Vasher.
No, she wasn't kidnapped in the second half. She was.
Yeah,
in the second half she was kidnapped. It was right after that. You're right.
After the battle, she came back to her room. She goes up the stairs and gets stolen.
Wait. Kidnapped?
Yeah. Yes, that's perfect.
She's property.
Wait, Cherry, before we go on to the way more important conversation.
Beware of people stealers.
Yeah, people stealers. She got stolen.
She does.
It's not as bad as kidnapped. Come on.
Yeah, no, she's not a kid anymore.
Yeah, it was the hilarious scene that happened right before that, before she went up the stairs.
Talking to
with, what's his name? The guy that she brought with her, the general's son.
Harold.
Paladin?
Perrin? I forget his name, yeah.
Something P.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was like one of those names. But Anyway, he looks up at her and he's like, "Oh yeah, you've always been kind of an ass to me."
Yeah, I know. And he's like, "This was all just a
This girl
charade. You were
actually
never
kinda
gonna marry
likes
me
me."
anyway." Yeah.
And she was kind of like,
I know. I loved that moment because, like,
I guess I am an asshole.
I feel like every single person has probably known somebody that exact situation's happened to, where they feel like, oh, this person's so in love with me, and then you realize later it's like, oh, maybe they were, but I don't have them wrapped around my finger anymore. You know, he's just like, I'm kind of over you. Like, we haven't talked in forever.
But the funny thing is, she's like, you've been kind of like a pump, like you always look down on me, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
you thought I was an idiot.
Yeah, like what?
Clearly not
maybe
stupid
I'm
enough
not.
to notice that you think I'm an idiot.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's really funny is even during the earlier conversations that we have about him from Vivenna's point of view, is she's just like, oh, he's simple and like he seems out of place, but I'm very surprised that he was able to like take to blending in the city. It's so surprising because he's just a simple like military son.
Took Dan pointing out to her that he was blending in.
Yeah.
She still thought he looked like a fool.
Yeah,
Like,
with
look
the
at
hat
that
or
idiot
whatever.
with that hat. And then it's like, dude, what are you talking about? He's totally blending in. He's doing a good job. And she's like,
Yeah, and then
now.
she's kind of like surprised, but
Look at that idiot with that hat on, and she's getting jealous.
She definitely does a lot of growing. Probably the most.
Yeah.
You would think that the situation that Ciri's in, that she would do the most growing, but she's kind of seems almost mostly the same.
Ciri almost had like a base set for her, and she grew into her potential.
Exactly.
So she
found
just
a
like
place where she fits.
she just like expanded to this great
I mean,
potential.
Viviana got destroyed down to nothing and
Rebuilt.
I mean, like Sue didn't get destroyed like Vivian did, but she grew into a ruler because at the end, even Vivian was surprised about how her like royal grace stood, like her poise, and she was like, wow, she was like a queen now, like a real queen.
Yeah, it brings me to a certain interesting point, which is when you judge things from a certain perspective, it's hard to tell, especially when you're thinking about potential or like what the future in a complex system. Anything complex is a human is extreme complex system, as complex as you could guess that a planet or an ecosystem would be. You think all of these things that impact you in terms of your personality, your experiences, and everything, and what your potential is to grow into or respond to certain events. You almost just never know how you like come out. It's like
sometimes it feels like when you're making judgments, like frameworks can work sometimes when you're dealing on the macro, or if you have literally zero personal interaction to go off of. Like it's like, okay, there's really nothing to go off of. I have a best guess, but like you need to kind of put like your personal point of view away once you're meeting a new person, you know, because like if you just take all of your past experience and use it to judge this person, it like almost never works out because everybody's so different.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it was really, really, really kind of a neat thing to see her expand, and then to see Vivenna like kind of rebuild herself into who I am still convinced, and I think it probably is confirmed somewhere on Reddit, is the girl that we read in Stormlight. Yeah,
I think that's true also.
Yeah. So,
but she's still rebuilding right now.
She is. Yeah, I agree.
Because in Stormlight, she was a badass.
I mean, we have a gap in the story.
Assuming that's
we have. I'm like, it's gotta be. It's just gotta be. I mean, there's no other reason for it, and she's clearly way more of like. There's a story that we don't have, but but that's cool.
She's searching for the Black Sword, which is Vasher's.
Yeah,
and also him, I think.
Dude, I read a cool article about Vasher and the reason that he went over to the other world. The world...
Stormlight world?
Yeah, what was the world called in Stormlight? I should know this. It's terrible that I can't remember.
Yeah.
Fact checker!
I know.
Yeah.
Damn you, fact checker!
I can't remember offhand.
You lazy bastard. Just joking. We love you.
He's not joking,
We
Manny.
love you. Yeah, we love you. Anyway, he goes... Roshar.
Roshar.
I don't know if that's a world, but that's a continent, damn it.
That's an area,
Yeah.
at least.
Anyway, he goes to Roshar.
Yeah.
And I thought about that a little bit. They're like, It just mentioned like because he wanted access to the power, and I realized that as we find out at the end of the story, not to jump the gun, you better have finished, folks. He's a returned.
Yeah.
He needs to live off breaths.
Yeah.
But it's actually in Brandon Sanderson's magic systems, like all the magic are somehow kind of tied together. And when he goes over there, he could get access to Stormlight, which substitutes breaths, and he could do that without stealing the souls of people. So he could live.
Yeah.
He could live that way without stealing breaths from people.
Yeah.
Or requiring breaths from
who is
people.
this?
Vasher.
He needs to take breaths.
He takes it from Stormlight.
If
In
So
that
apparently in
Yeah.
that world,
If he goes
can
to the
take it
Stormlight
from
world.
Stormlight.
Yeah.
If that's
so,
true, we don't know for
Sanderson calls it. There's a word for it. Jesus, if only my brain was working a little bit better today. I'm
So you're
sorry.
saying
He calls it.
could he awaken in that world then?
He might still be able to. We don't know that yet, but his shape changing abilities and things
Yeah.
like that. But he. So my understanding is, I was kind of like reading a few things, and then my understanding is, like Brandon Sanderson said, like the magic systems, all the gods, they are kind of tied together. And anytime that the magic is made into a solid, it's always a metal in that world. If it's not a metal, it could be something else, like a light or like Stormlight or breaths or other things. But anytime it's in a solid form, it's a metal.
Right.
That's
And,
kind of weird because in this world, you can't. You need a massive
It's the most
amount
removed from
of magic power to
magic. Yeah.
do metal. But in the trilogy we're gonna do,
Mistborn. We're going to do
They
Mistborn next. Yeah.
use metal as a basis.
Exactly. It all had solidified in that world to metal, which we'll talk about when we get there. But the cool thing that I realized is like, if the magic system works that way, it makes sense. And then I read that, him and the girl, Shashara, who they together made
Nightblood. Yeah.
they modeled Nightblood after Shardblade.
Right. I was
So they
just about to
actually
say.
had access to know what a Shardblade
yeah.
is. And when they modeled it, they didn't quite know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't fully understand how Shardblades worked.
Yeah.
And then this article was so badass. It talked about how, if the original swords that the gods gave the heralds, herald, what were they called? Not Shard, honor blades.
Honor blades.
Honor blades were phase 1. Shard blades were kind of level 2 or second iteration of that, where the Spren were mimicking honor blades, but they found it got a little bit better because honor blades, although you don't have to have a bond, the honor blades suck so much more of your Stormlight.
Right.
Well, then Vasher and Shashara had access to an honor blade and copied Nightblood off of that, and Nightblood is a lot more similar to an honor blade in how much it draws from you. Like if you remember, even when Zeth used it in, you better have done our. Before I continue, Stormlight warning spoiler.
Yeah,
But
there's going to be
before
Stormlight spoilers for sure in this
Before
discussion.
he used that blade in that book, it took so much more Stormlight similar to an honor blade.
Yeah.
Just like it does breath in this world.
In this world, yeah.
But then they say that even the gods are like terrified of the Nightblood because they accidentally made something super, super potent.
Yeah.
But interesting. He's a level 3
Also,
version.
speaking of Nightblood, even
Third
though...
generation iPhone.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Nightblood...
He looked really
excited.
Like he had something to say, like, oh my god.
I'm sorry. You got to go.
No, I didn't have anything. Go.
Also speaking of Nightblood, I feel like we definitely, even though we kind of like guessed this in the last one, we definitely know where the 1,000 breaths he was talking about would have come from. Remember how he was like, I could get 1,000 breaths right now, but I don't want to make that sacrifice.
No.
It seems like it was from
Nightblood doesn't
Nightblood,
give him
right?
back.
Oh, he doesn't?
But when you're wielding Nightblood, the more
then what
breaths
was
that
it?
it has
Did we find
stronger.
out?
When he's saying he could increase to that level, it's when it takes his return form.
No, he would have to go to the king and reclaim his 50,000 breaths.
No, I thought
it was when he
that
went
was
to
it.
the
He didn't want to make
kingdom
that.
form.
Gotcha. That commitment. He would
know how
go
I
back
missed
to the
that.
king and take his 50,000 breaths back because they're holding it for him. So that was the
he would have been on the 10th level then, or 9th. But he was talking about reaching the 5th.
Because their 5th heightening is only one breath. But it's one strong breath.
And I thought...
but he was saying all he needs to do to get breaths back would be to go... I don't think he was saying specifically 1,000. He was just saying...
He said 1,000. I thought it was.
I could reach the 5th heightening, but that would take a sacrifice he wasn't willing to make.
Yeah.
And at the end of the book...
just turning back into
a turn form, he would... had that one huge breath.
That one breath.
Because if he took those breaths back from the king...
He'd be the 10th,
or the 9th. Maybe, I'm not sure.
No, I think he goes with the 50,000, because I was reading about the breath system.
Yeah.
And actually, they talk about it at the end of the book.
Yeah, it's at the end of the book.
They say, like, the 50,000 will take you to the 10th. It'll take you max. But they don't even understand... Like, not even the kings
7th,
understand the
8th,
7th, 8th, and 9th to the full, because nobody's actually studied it that far.
Yeah.
At least to our knowledge. Super cool.
But
just
that's what I believe.
Different.
I could be wrong, Joshua.
Yeah. I thought that was such an interesting concept when they were saying, like, when Vasher is kind of explaining the returned, and he's like, the returned, like, they still just have one soul. People don't get that, but their one soul, it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
It's
which
just so
is such a
massive.
cool thing, is like, their soul is just the one soul takes them up to that level, which is really cool.
It kind of makes me wonder. I don't know if there's even if there's any thought in Sanderson's mind in this, but it makes me wonder if normal people that aren't born special are capable of building their one breath up.
That's an interesting concept.
Instead of taking it from other people, I wonder if you could build up to different heightenings somehow.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll ever touch on that.
Maybe.
Or if he has.
Because at the end of the book, it describes Light Song, and it renumbers a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And renumbers dying, and then having a voice tell him, do you want to go back?
Yeah, whoever holds that shard in this world.
Well, I was going to say, that's one of the shards, like one of the gods, like Culture, or the other ones.
I don't know which one it is.
Each world is supposed to have
It would be one of its own, right?
a shard. So it wouldn't be those, it'd be own. And so if she, like, breathes life into him, and that's why it's at the 5th level already.
Yep. Well, that gave him, but I wonder what that shard is. And it makes me think that this has got to be the planet that somehow all of the humans on Roshar
come from.
I mean, it seems like it's the most connected. But then again, in the cognitive realm, all of them might be connected, right?
Possibly.
All of this was supposed to be connected.
Okay.
But then the world those guys came from got destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, it could be this planet gets destroyed in the future.
We don't know this. Yeah, we don't know the story.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's a good point, because it seems like these people are coming more fresh.
Yeah.
So why would their world be destroyed?
Yeah, you're right. 'Cause
that does make a good point. So, but cool, like super cool conversation. I love this like one-off because it just gives us a lot, and also he left a lot kind of just open. He just kind of like wrote it, and he's like, they're showing up in Stormlight, and you're like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot open. Like we have no answers on if Hoyd is the same one.
Yeah,
we have no.
Sure.
Oh, we know he's the same. I think he
I would
would
assume so, but his personality is so different.
Yeah, but
we don't really have
just different fleshed out. We get one scene of talking.
Yeah, I think that he's only different because it was the only lens we saw him through was through Siri. And he had purposely been in acting mode. For that, like he does with other people, but we don't get that in Stormlight. He's more often himself to these characters.
Dude, I was thinking for a while, like just in the back of my head, I wasn't like super thinking about it, but I was thinking for a while because I felt like Light Songs felt so wit-like. Yeah. I was actually thinking for a while that somehow the storyteller or whatever was like a lifeless, like a next level, like lifeless of his that like somehow like was given his like personality or memories or something like something about him was in this storyteller or whatever. And I just felt like that could possibly be possible just because of how Vivenna kept saying that the lifeless that the mercenaries had just seemed so different. Like it almost seemed conscious. So I was like, there's probably more to this than...
I honestly think maybe he probably was just like, I loved writing that type of character, so that the author is.
Yeah,
I loved writing that character so much.
A little bit of Brandon Sanderson's voice needs to come out.
Yeah.
Some of that witty wit.
Yeah, because literally that character he does a lot of wits, kind of like banter, and I think he probably enjoyed that writing writing that character so much that he's like, I'm gonna use this later, but I can't because he's dead. So I'm gonna put it in this Hoyt, who he probably already had the plan of using across.
Now I'm almost positive that's what happened. But while I was reading it, I was like wondering if there was some planned out like thing.
Yeah.
But Hoyt, one more thing. If this is his original world, like this is where he starts out and he goes to other worlds.
Yeah.
You think he's one of the returned from back when the 5 skulls was the day?
But it sounds like they already have, at least from those original 5, they have them all.
All 5 are down, but there had to be other awakeners at that time who were alive, and they all split up to different countries, and they could have had like apprentices.
Oh, he definitely could have
been there.
I don't know that it's his first world.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because I read another thing about Hoyd, and it was nothing about Hoyd literally, but it was a comment on Hoyd that Brandon Sanderson said that even Hoyd is afraid of Nightblood, and he's very, very hard to kill. And that description alone made me think that he's different than a returned. He's more. He's like something way different. Like
he apparently is like insanely
old, different because he has to either be returned to live that long as he has, or be something totally else that lives that long.
Yeah, he could be.
I think he's something totally else because apparently he like is not afraid of most weapons, most anything.
Yeah,
can't kill him, but he is afraid of Nightblood. That's interesting.
Which explains why he felt so comfortable saying those things to very powerful men. Yeah. He's just like, your swords cannot touch me.
So I just something to like think about, because we don't really know, and there hasn't been a lot of info on that.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think he's returned because it's easy to stab a return.
But as you get into some of his other books, there are like other types of like deities that are human type people. So I think that it's not limited to just this or something in Stormblood. There's probably
as we dive deeper into Sanderson's lore and reread like Mist
we're going to be
Horns
seeing a lot.
There's a lot, So we'll definitely be continuing to have this discussion, which is pretty.
I think I mentioned this before.
We should go back to more the
There was one thing that you brought up that I know Ben had an interesting theory on. I
didn't think of this the first time I read it, but the second and third time, this stood out to me. What were you guys' thoughts on Claude? Don't say anything, Jeff.
I won't.
And that was Jules lifeless.
Yeah. I felt like, I mean, obviously he makes it very clear that there's something special about him. He seems to almost have like consciousness.
I initially was thinking that he was someone from their past that that was reincarnated. I think he was like I originally was thinking he was the person that Vasher killed.
Oddsteel?
Yeah. Dent's brother.
That's what I thought.
But I think they would have, if that was the case, they would have ended it with their kind of story because I don't think, because Dent is dead, so it wouldn't make sense for them to.
Oddsteel.
I think that they would have brought it up also.
Whose?
Yessteel.
I thought it was
in the epilogue.
Oh, who's Dent's brother then?
He doesn't have a brother.
No, Dent's sister is Vasher's wife, Shishara.
Okay, that was who he killed. That is
Vasher's wife.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was thinking about this a lot, and there's some hints in there that talk about paying too high a price for Claude. That, what's her name?
Jules.
Jules was, you don't have to worry about the god from back home falling for Jules because he's has other stuff. And even Vasher
or something.
Yeah. Even Vasher's like, ooh, and he kind of like, when Vivanna talked to him about it, he kind of turned away and like, I don't know, he felt like kind of awkward to me in that scene. Like, there's something about him. And I was thinking like, who could it be? And I was like, it's gotta be Oddsteel, if that's how you say his name. And I was thinking, him and Jules had to be lovers and then Jewel he died, and Jules brought him back as a
with her breath, which
her
is what
breath.
made her which is also why she was so defensive about being a
and all
squid.
the time she was like,
No, she said though that she gave
A
her
drab.
she get new breasts, but also she was always talking to him and carrying conversations.
Oh yeah.
And then I looked online. I thought I was like, oh, I'm so smart. Apparently, a lot of people think this.
Well, apparently you guys did also. I was curious about it. I didn't necessarily go that far. If you remember that I was even going so far last episode to say that maybe Lightsong was that guy that Vasher killed because of the weird swordsmanship stuff.
Yeah.
I was really throwing that from left field.
That is
Yeah.
very left field.
I like Hail Marys though.
I do too.
It's
yeah.
paid off sometimes.
Sometimes
it always
it
feels
did.
good.
We'll talk about some that I can't even believe I got right, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, let's segue that into Hail Marys into at least one of our five Brett bets. So
Okay.
let's we have one of the first ones we recorded is about Lightsong, and was he a swordsman, and what was his profession before godhood?
Yeah.
So
We don't know one of those, do we?
yeah, we
know
know
both.
both of them.
Yeah, we
Yes.
do.
Jeff, or no, we'll do. Should I say the people who aren't here?
Yeah, let's do
All
the
right.
people who aren't here first.
John
Losers.
said yes, he's a swordsman, and he thinks he was an officer, military type officer. So John is wrong, both accounts.
Right.
Manny said yes, law enforcement, wrong, both accounts. Brett said yes, detective. And actually, Brett is about a half right. On
Half
that,
right, yeah.
Because he was he was an
Accountant
accountant,
detective.
He was
but
an
he was an
accountant,
accountant
yeah.
detective because he investigated fraud.
Yeah.
And books. So we could give you a half on that. So you're definitely wrong on that. Was he a swordsman?
He's investigating.
Yeah. So I would say that's you're half right.
he had a sword in his hand. He's just a bad one.
Jeff said yes, he is a good swordsman, and he was a ship traveling circus traveler.
I did say that? I just edited it and I thought I said, wouldn't it be hilarious if he dies? But I'll drink for that anyway.
No, we didn't. This is about whether he was a swordsman. So yes, you said yes, he's a swordsman,
Really?
and before he was a godhood, you said he was a ship traveling circus traveler.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Oh man, was that in the second episode that we took that?
It was. I just edited it.
That's so funny.
And I'm laughing because I thought that I said he wasn't a swordsman. Clearly I said he was, and then I'm like, but he's probably not. He's just going to get stabbed. 'Cause that's what I heard myself say, but I bet I said he was. My bet. Good. Cheers.
All right.
with
And
you
me and
guys.
Ben are drinking all these.
We're going to have to
Yeah.
film the other guys. Lame asses do this later.
Yeah, we'll do an official Brett bet as a side clip.
Yeah.
So, where this all started, which is funny, we did a very roundabout way, is we were talking about the betrayal.
Yeah.
Where Denth and his party, Vivenna, finds out that Denth and Pongfa,
Yeah.
and Jules were actually the entire time working against Vivenna, and actually pretty much held her captive without in a
her
very
knowing.
smart way, without
Yeah.
her knowing,
Yeah.
lead her believe.
Yeah.
That was an amazing move on them to keep
Yeah.
her kidnapped and pretending like she's in charge and
And
doing all that stuff that
actually
they
have
wanted
her
to
work
do.
for them.
I know.
and have her do all that stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
It was ingenious.
I know.
You could tell they've been around for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And he's
300
even
years,
she's
yeah.
like, oh, they held his money, or my money, and I just trusted them that they were holding
Yeah.
it. And they're like, yeah, it's yours. We're just holding it for you. And they're like, it was never at all in her control.
Yeah.
That brings us back to all the discussions we had in the last episodes where they keep saying you shouldn't trust mercenaries.
Yeah.
We're just mercenaries.
I know.
Blah, 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 blah.
I'm gonna
blah,
start
blah,
using
blah.
that on you and Elise. I'm gonna be like, hey Jeff, I'm gonna eat your pie. Just kidding. I'm
But don't
gonna
trust
eat
me.
your pie.
That's what roommates
And then
do.
one day you're gonna come here, you're gonna be like, where's my pie? I told you I was gonna eat your pie.
It's what roommates do.
Yeah. Everybody thinks roommates always eating pie.
So that does go into a two-part Brett bet that we had, and it was proposed by Ben, and it was,
Oh,
who
man.
do you back? Do you back
This is the one I got
Vasher
right.
versus Denth? And then the other half of it was, do you trust Bluefinger versus the priest.
That one I got wrong.
And we're gonna start with John. John said Vasher. Actually, what everyone
We all said
Vasher. I remember that. Yeah.
So let's just make everyone lost on that, or everyone won on that.
Yeah, everyone won Vasher.
And then let's go to the other one, which was who do you trust, Bluefingers, or who do you back, Bluefinger or the priests? And John and Manny both said Bluefinger. Brett said Bluefinger, and Jeff said the priests.
Oh, yeah. That was the long shot, because I couldn't believe it. And I just edited that, so I was like sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, and here I am. When I read it, I was like, holy shit. How did that lob work out?
Yeah.
But it did. And I remember thinking, like, they all went one way. We can't do a double all. And I was like, also, Bluefingers irritated me, and I listened to what I said, and I was like, he just seemed too nervous.
I actually felt like he seemed too nervous and irritating.
Too good, too helpful, too
I felt
nervous.
like that's why he was throwing me off the track. I felt like he was trying to be tricky, like making it seem like he was.
Though, my
but
other
really
option was Trellides.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that
Trellides.
guy's a jackass.
Trellides definitely seems like he's the one that he's trying to lead you towards a bit.
But I also really like how that played out.
But he's so unlikable.
He's unlikable, but I like how when they start to reveal stuff, it wasn't this like, it didn't feel forced. Like when Brandon Sanderson's like revealing, and he's he still had his like kind of like douchiness ways. He's like, you stupid woman, like you really think we don't care about this? Like this means nothing to us. And the way he kind of goes through that whole process was, for me, it felt really genuine, and was just such a good so many pieces fit together.
I personally feel like, in general, Brandon Sanderson is amazing at that. He's really good at making things feel genuine. Like, to me, even though I know from conversations with Jeff that he's a religious person, based off of this book, I would never guess it, even though the whole book deals with religious people. You know, I feel like he treats every point of view extremely, like, respectfully. And I think that's what allows those things to happen, where everything feels legitimate, because he's not trying to push a point of view. He's like, this is how I think it would play out if these people believe this, you know?
And another thing that was really, really interesting, and that I thought was ingenious, is that even though Trellides wasn't a bad guy, they were still hiding shit. The God King cannot conceive. They've always just found another one. And then they pretended about... So, like... The whole thing where that situation happens, they're like, well, we were hiding that. And so we were like, they were kind of betraying her.
Kind of.
Not him, but kind of, but
it's
not
also,
really.
when you really think about it, the God King's like an atom bomb. And you can't let one person be in control of that.
No.
You can't have one person with their finger over the button, you know?
Hence the tongue, which was actually essential. And, of course, they got lucky. In this one, but
and they're actually holding true to the which is ridiculous. They're holding insanely true to the doctrine of priests from 300 years ago.
From Vasher.
They kept that, which is even more impressive that they were able to kind of keep that devoutness all the way through. That's got to be 5-6 generations, 300 years of priests, all passing this through this secret, and you are you are a God King, but really you're just holding it for the first God King, the true one.
Something I'd like to bring up, talking about that with the priests, passing down all 300, but it spurred a thought in my mind, which is that it's actually really interesting how, despite the isolation and the excess that the gods lived, they actually tried to do their duty. Almost all of them did.
No.
Kind of.
I mean, in this generation, only a few did.
They really neglecting it.
Mostly it was Light Song and Blushweaver, right?
But even the other ones,
all the mother.
But we don't even know about the other ones.
She gave up her power. She was just like, you do it for me.
Yeah, no, but
she
was
skirting. responsibilities.
Yeah, right.
Seeing the people.
And she was probably one of the better ones.
But I would argue
Well,
that
she started that only recently. Doing all the extra stuff.
But I would argue that they're not as bad as they seem. They almost had all of this attitude that they thought they were bad and like living in excess and whatever. But then you see that they're like the young kid. He gave up the power of his military because he wanted more power to vote on social issues because he wanted to make a difference.
Because he felt like his military was useless.
And so like when you think about some of the things that were stated, it's almost like despite, and then you hear Lightsong's story, it's like despite the strange world excess that they live in, they really did come back for a reason.
Yeah.
All of them, which is probably why
I know
all of them end up leaving.
I loved that aspect about it because from the second that he mentions like, "Oh, we're not allowed to talk about who you were," I was just like, "This is some manipulative shit, dude."
Yeah,
Like we are gonna find out some crap later, and it just turned out, oh no, he was great.
He was actually right.
Yeah,
like, and that was good because he shouldn't like it would have affected stuff if he were like, "This is who you were, and this is what you did," and like. Lightsong has this whole idea, like, if he wouldn't have believed that he was actually this brave person, which if someone would have told him, like, you were just an accountant, he would have been like, I'm not that brave, he probably wouldn't have gone out on all these adventures.
But there's also his high priest. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
No.
That was the high priest.
Oh, that was the high priest. It was
Lightsong's
Scoot.
high priest.
Scoot.
Yeah.
Scoot. We'll just call it Scoot.
Laramir or something.
Laramir,
he was... What was I going to say about him?
Besides being a badass.
Besides being Lightsong's brother.
His old god, when he was losing face.
He didn't like.
He was,
Because he's like, this guy's lying just to get...
Deceitful, moving around, like,
and I felt
politics.
Like that was the norm for the gods, and there's only in this generation of gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the one before was supposed to be really good, but in this generation, it seemed like there's only a few really dedicated gods, and the rest.
But that's the danger I want to bring up that I think Brandon Sanderson's hitting on is the danger of perspective.
Yeah.
Because although Scoot felt that way, he didn't. Unlike this time Lightsong might have. If Scoot didn't know who Lightsong was, he might have thought Lightsong was a gigantic fucking jackass who never wanted to do his shit.
Yeah.
But because he knew how
the sacrifice he had already made.
That totally changed the perspective.
Well,
so it's like, I mean, maybe he was though. I don't want to take it away.
Also,
but it's like
even Mercy Star is that
Mercy Star?
Says Lightsong is like the only god who goes through all his paintings, all the...
Well, no, that was All Mother who was saying that. All Mother was...
No, Mercy Star. No. All Mother said that even Mercy Star says that.
Yeah.
So they notice. But Blushweaver said that they'll
he's always saying he uses, but he's like the only one who does all his duties all the way through all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that like I loved about... I mean, it's always nice to be able to cherry pick the things that fit with your point of view. But like the thing about Lightsong that I really liked is that like I'm a big believer in... talk is easy and a lot of people can't back it up with action. Where like he did like the opposite. Like he down talked himself and he actioned the shit out of it. You know what I mean? So like I just loved that about him.
One thing though that I want to say though is I wonder too, like, so Lightsong gets the choice to go back. So when he dies, like, and he kind of explains it, he remembers the glow and seeing kind of like war happening and then someone kind of being like, do you wish to go back or do you wish to try? And he says yes, so he returns. I'm wondering if some of the other gods actually get that they have the same stuff, but I'm wondering if that whole act of forgetting, maybe not all of them actually fulfill their duties. So it could still be true that some of these gods are maybe bad crop, and some of them may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like they're supposed to live this thing out, but they get distracted or they don't fulfill it.
There's something I would argue that, and I'm not saying that you're wrong though, but just a point of thought to argument, not necessarily my opinion. Point of thought to that is like, for example, Vasher, who just decided I'm not gonna die, nor am I gonna use it, but he still can't stop acting in his own
prophesized name.
He can't stop his innate person. So like he's doing something, and even Denth and Shashara may have had, though coming off negatively in their world, may have had humongous impact upon the entire Cosmere.
Yeah.
Which Brandon Sanderson's looking down. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
They might.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's part of it. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like, this is where you get to that, like, fate, not fate.
I mean, it could also...
innate, not, you know, it's like, whoa, dude. Because Vasher not dying, well, that's clearly impacting another story that we fucking love.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be pretty fucking critical. Because
Yeah.
Szeth is holding Nightblood right now.
Yeah. So since we are talking a little bit about the gods, we did have...
forgot about that.
Yeah. We did...
That's so cool.
And, like, Denth is a return. So it's like,
Oh
well,
my
Denth
God,
just
that's so
died. But it's
cool.
like,
I forgot about that.
all of those actions here are impacting way more than
Yeah.
the world
Yeah.
that they're in. It might all fucking be a gigantic, like,
Yeah.
not
Also,
fate, but like,
you have to keep in mind that like impact isn't over until you're gone. You know, it may be that they didn't have an impact on this story, but like
I would
they'll
argue that
fulfill their
impact
shit in a
impact
little
is
bit, you know?
lingering
Constantly.
despite that they're gone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
impact of what happened is
Well, I know. I'm just saying. I'm just
yeah.
saying. People that don't fulfill like the reason that they were brought back in this story,
They might still be
may
around,
have their
right?
reason
Yeah,
still
like,
around. Yeah.
holy shit.
So the other bet that we have is Blushweaver initiating war.
Damn.
Brett and I talked about this one earlier,
Yeah.
and we're pretty sure that we are all taking a drink
Yeah.
on this
No,
motherfucker.
Annie said no.
Everyone
Nope.
said yes.
But we all
Oh, sorry. That was the.
But
last
we
one.
all said the argument that we really had was like it's either war or consolidating power, but it's definitely not to protect.
Right.
Yeah.
But so
All of us
we
said
were,
that.
Yeah, we were all wrong, and we didn't all
Because
have the
in
same
the end,
answer.
even though she was being manipulated, in her heart, she actually was trying to just
I
protect
know.
her.
Yeah, which is sad, but
She was being convinced by assholes.
Dude,
but
oh my god, the moment her freaking neck was cut, I
oh,
was like,
you're like, what?
what a waste of her. Like, she could have gone and, like, oh,
So
dude.
it's funny because I was this is my second time reading this. So as I'm going
Yeah.
through this, like a lot of this was still kind of surprising. I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah, and that scene, I was just like, oh yeah.
oh no.
Like, and that's like one of those things where like it's funny because if someone told you when you like maybe like halfway through you'd be like, Blushweaver's totally manipulating everyone and I
know.
hope she dies, and then
I
it's
know.
like towards the end you're like
John,
damn.
Yeah.
John's like,
She's
I'm sure she's just trash, evil,
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like her, but terrible. And then in the end, it's like, man, Lightsong should have totally just went with her.
I
Had
totally-
a good time,
Yeah.
you know, then they could have continued their adventure.
The main reason that I kind of had like a little bit of a like weird feeling about Blushweaver is because I was just like, I wasn't sure if she legitimately liked Lightsong or if she was just using her sexuality
I'm
to
sure
manipulate
she
him.
actually really liked Lightsong.
She just fucking loved him.
like, damn, dude.
And it's actually one of my favorite lines in this second half was when they were talking and she was just like, I don't know which I do more, like if I'm more frustrated by you or if I love you more, and he's just like, well, I'll take them both.
that conversation where he's talking about like, I'm trying to outshine you because I'm trying to take attention away from you so that you have to act more on your base self just to be trying to get attention so you can truly shine, and she's just like, you could stop, like,
Yeah, stop it.
that banter back and forth between them was so good.
I wish she could have at least just got a little
action.
Got the
action before she left.
I know.
Damn you, Lightsong.
Yeah.
I know.
Prude.
So
I'm not.
Feel so bad for
He's like, he started liking her so much more when she
now.
covered it up.
I know.
And he's like, I'm not sure if I was a prude or
Yeah.
I'm a prude now or something else.
Yeah, that's attractive to some men.
Yeah.
I know a couple they're very into the modesty, and then there's other ones that
Or not.
like it.
Yeah. You gotta like it how you like
Yeah.
it. She definitely knew what she liked, but I was a bit sad about that when that happened because I
Yeah.
was kind of like, man, they should have hooked up.
Yeah.
I think
I
it
know.
was also though a pretty necessary scene because I feel
Clearly,
like
yeah.
it was
pushed
really and it was really important to kind of show just like try and drag like right before Lightsong kind of gets pushed over that he is, feeling that he is, like drag him down even further. Like, look at how easy they die. Like, she's just dead, and like you couldn't do anything about it, and just like right before that kind of like epiphany, it just like drag you down as low as possible, and then even like Scoot, like his being like, you always do this, you're gonna get me killed, you're an idiot, like this is over, and like just like he's at his lowest point and everything just kind of seems to be like banging on him, and then all of a sudden, like, granted that happens, which makes it even worse, but I love that just like rise right back up where Scoot tells him about how he became like a returned. And that scene was just so good. Yeah. It was awesome.
It was great. I also, this is a little off topic, but it reminded me of it because of how Light Song ended up going. Did the moment Sesebron, the God King, like the image in my mind was so comic. It was just like him just like bursting the doors open. I'm here! Like the way it was in my head was so ridiculous. And then there's just like things floating through the air and like carrying Siri to him. He's like, I save you, woman. It was so crazy.
I was just like, okay, this is where it gets into the Daniel Steele book. Like this, they're describing his like true like muscles and his like deep voice.
I'm just expecting like floating into like a,
by the way,
a drugstore checkout like romance novel.
I gotta say, I do approve because I remember, and this is hard. Ingrained memory is I remember reading when I was reading the Twilight series. I could not
you say that on
stop.
the podcast?
Yeah, of course, dude. I read everything, and actually, I find tons of positives in that series. But at the same time, there was one part where I know, like, as a I don't know, it's not even as a man as a woman. It's just a personality thing. There's scenes in romance novels or in like rolling around in a field talking about the hard pectorals for like several minutes, several pages. It just, I'm like, fuck, it's so stupid. At least in this one, we already know she thinks he's hot. She thinks he's hot as hell. Yeah. And then it's just like, okay, I saved you, and like I don't need all of that. Yeah. But that could be totally different based on your market or whatever.
We did get a lot of pages about Bushweaver's breasts and
oh
my god! Stay tuned for our podcast after this.
Damn. She's a goddess. I hope she's not Bushweaver.
Cheers to Bushweaver.
This is a lot of drink that's hitting me hard.
Cheers to Bushweaver. Oh dear Lord.
The greatest bush of them all.
How can you not want this Light Song?
Dear God.
Oh gosh. But also, speaking of Siri and Sesebron, I don't know why, but like the scene where they like woke up and you hear them, I think it's the first time you hear them actually like say I love you to each other. Yeah. Like it was really, really cool to just see that relationship form over like writing and like them just being kind of like tucked away in this little room and just like literally falling in love with each other from that first image. Like that, so, like as soon as they said I love you to each other, the first thing that popped in my head was that first image of her just like naked kneeled kneeling down, so submissive,
don't
so
make
like
eye contact.
I don't want to just be killed right now. And like this whole idea of just not even knowing who this person is, being so afraid, and then ending up in love with each other. It's just such a I really like their story together.
Yeah. We do have two that kind of focus right on this since we're talking about it. Two Brett bets. So first one was, will the God King survive the story?
Damn it!
So I have a proposal before we continue. My proposal is that we talk through this one and save the next one for the intro.
For the next episode. Okay.
All right, let's go.
So the question, will the God King survive? Correct. Manny and John both said no. Brett said
I know what I said.
Jeff said no. Nobody believed in the God King.
We all believed in Light Song and not Sesebron.
Yeah. Little did we know they were the same thing. We should have believed in Light Song to save Sesebron.
We should have believed in Light Song's tongue to save Sesebron. Because his words were so solid, that's all Sesebron needed.
Yeah.
Jeff, finish the drink.
You got it. Then we can't cheers at the end.
Well,
Let's cheers and finish the drink.
I'm already done.
We're doing our cheers early, but...
Well, no,
right.
this is the
Gonna
end.
stop.
This is the end of the first episode.
Oh, that's true. All right. Well, we're finishing. We're going to have a little bit of an intermission, not for you, but for us.
Yeah.
And then we're going to continue our discussion with the second part of that bread bet. If you remember from the early episodes, then, well, you already know our pain that's probably going to come.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous.
With that said,
Cheers. See you guys next episode.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.